You are now watching Main Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Main Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable John Featherston.
What is that golden artifact that Steve is holding in the open there that he throws up in the air with his hand? This is from one of the Chinese...
It is. It's a magical Chinese trinket that we found investigating the triad weed growth. It's always been one of my favorite shots. It's just like the Indiana Jones holding some artifact in a temple that we basically stumbled into.
So for a trophy of war.
I don't know. Probably laced with pesticides.
Maybe that should be the trophy for whoever eventually brings down the Chinese mafia in Maine.
Ooh, that's fantastic.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Main Wire TV. My name is Tom Shattuck. I am with the Main Wire Jesus. Okay, Tom, we'll start again. My name is Tom. I'm with the Main Wire. So is Graham Pollard, John Featherston, and Garrick Hoffman. Great to talk to you again. I want to start here by talking about an event coming up that we want you to be part of. March 24th, the debate, a clash in the Queen City. And that's a nice poster there. Graham, I assume that's your fine work.
It is. So, it's beautiful Bangor, Maine.
Cross Insurance Center, Bangor, Maine, March 24th, 7 p.m. This is going to be, there's going to be either we're doing the pre-show, John, like a group of us,
yep,
and then Steve's in on the actual debate himself. Now, I'm not even sure of the final list of candidates yet. We're going to be with Steve. But I assume the pre-show, we're going to run that, Graham, as Main Wire TV?
Yeah, so here's what we know so far. It's the candidates lock March 16th. So there's no final list of candidates yet. But it's going to be all the top candidates that you expect. Probably be 6 to 8 candidates on stage. And I think this is really going to be, there's a couple of debates, but I think this is the debate. This is going to be the important debate. This is going to be the debate that everyone tunes into. And we're really going all out here at the Main Wire to make this a unique, interesting, and engaging event. There's a lot of political debates that have been going on forever, and we're kind of trying to evolve it and elevate it and make it fun and entertaining for anything. So we got a lot of cool things planned, but we do have the great Tom Shattuck probably hosting the pre-show. So it's going to be kind of like if you're watching NFL Sunday and you've got the pregame show and then it cuts over into the stadium shot for the actual game. It's going to be pretty similar. And then I think the current plan, although things can change, is that Steve is moderating, and then John is going to be working kind of like the spin room afterwards. And all the other Main Wire personalities are going to be there, going to be involved. It's in partnership with the Maine Policy Institute, which is our parent company. So they're going to have their crew there as well. And it's going to be a great event at the Cross Center in Bangor. So tickets are available. It's only $10 a ticket. We definitely recommend everyone check it out if you're in the area.
So,
we'll
Graham,
call it the Banger Brawl. Sorry.
I was thinking of Banger in Bangor, something like that, too. I wasn't sure, though. That's not bad.
I was between the two of them. I was legitimately between the Brawl in Bangor and the Clash in the Queen City, and I went with Clash in Queen City. It was a tough decision between the both of those.
Well, the good thing is, Garrick, is if it's the Bangor Brawl, that encourages them to fight. It's not a pacifist event.
Right. That's true. Yes. It'll be the Banger and Banger.
I have not been to the Cross Insurance Center, and I have this will be my first event. Well, my first event that I'm part of. Is there are there food and drinks at this event?
There's going to be the Maine Policy Institute is hosting like a VIP reception. I'm like 99% sure there's going to be food and drinks there. In terms of the actual event, I don't know if we've hammered that out yet. I mean, the Cross Center, I actually went to a Trump rally there in like 2015, and that place was packed to the gills with like 10,000 people. I don't think we're going to get 10,000 people here at this one. I think it's in a little smaller side arena there. But there may be concessions. I don't want to confirm or deny that yet. Yeah. Maybe we just make it BYOB and have it just be pure chaos. I don't know. I'm sure the powers that be don't like that idea, but... but we do have a lot of fun surprises in store, including a prize for the winners that I think people are going to like when we reveal that.
Let me just say this. I'm not going to give away what the prize is, but I will say that that the prize is something that would be illegal to distribute in Massachusetts. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, guys, that is, we'll promote this as we come around to. I'm looking forward to having a great night. That's March 24th. Looking forward to saying hi to a lot of you guys, to saying hi to some of my Maine Wire colleagues. And then some of you guys who watch us, come around. We'll have a great time. We will mix it up and shoot the breeze. You can meet the John Featherston for a small fee. I can get you his autograph. We know now that his, what was it? What did the woman call him yesterday? Oh,
Silver Fox.
Yeah. Maybe I'll sell Silver Fox T-shirts. We'll see.
That's a great idea, Tom. I didn't even think about that. We need a Fezzy
yes.
Effect T-shirt stand, and we need the autograph line out there. You can get a custom to so-and-so from John Featherston autograph.
Oh, please.
So there's a +1 for all of us. I understand, John, that you were with your +1 today in the elevator for a little bit of time, and this is a great back and forth with Deqa DeLocke. And John, I gotta tell you something. You have cojones, man. It's one thing to ask a tough question and then a tough follow-up where the person's staring daggers at you. It's another thing to have a prolonged experience where you're having an unpleasant conversation with somebody and they're just taking it. So tell us, set up what we're about to see here.
Well, I was up in Augusta most of the morning today, and the House of Representatives was in session. So I waited patiently out in the hallway and was talking to a lot of different people. You know, it's amazing how many people come up to me and tell us, "Hey, I watch you on Maine Wire TV. I watch you on Maine Wire TV." And these aren't elected officials. These are, lobbyists that are up there today lobbying. And it was, and here's the funny thing: a lot more Democrats watch Maine Wire TV than I think they would be willing to admit in court, because a lot of people, would say, "Hey, I know you. I see you." And I was talking to a lot of different people. I was up there, and we can talk about it a little bit later. But I was up there. David Jones officially is on the ballot for his gubernatorial race for the governor on the Republican side. I was up there, so I just waited out in the hallway until they got done with their business, and I just followed State Representative Deqa DeLocke into the elevator, and it was just an intimate moment with Deqa DeLocke and myself in the elevator. I think the video will tell the story better than I can.
Are you guys besties now?
I'm sorry?
Are you guys besties? Which that's
You'll see, Eric. You're gonna feel the energy in a moment. Matt, let's roll that Deqa video if we can.
On the gateway I'm John with the Maine Wire. I've been trying to get a hold of you for months.
You do understand I don't work for that side that is being.
I do understand that. That's why I was interested in what your perspective was.
I didn't work for them, so there is.
But you're a state rep, and they've been accused of fraud of an organization that you worked with. No, I didn't say you. I said they.
I mean, that is, you have to ask them that, not me, and the way that.
But you worked for them. And
no, not that side.
But Deqa, you and I have both been in the buildings. You know that the buildings are very close. You're a state, lawmaker. You're a respected person. The reason why you're working there is because of your power and influence. You must know what the day-to-day operations were.
No, to be honest
No?
with you. There is a large number of folks who work there that you can ask what they do.
Nice pin, Deqa.
What do they do? For me, I worked for the nonprofit.
Right, you worked for the nonprofit division, but the main arm of the place has been accused of fraud, and you've been called in front of the House Congressional Committee. So where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Is that an accurate statement? Why would you be called in front of the House Congressional Committee if they didn't think that there was a problem? You don't want to comment? Well, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for your time.
I love how she hits the.
Yeah, John.
Silence. But you've seen, she's been telegraphing this all along. To sit there and tell us or any member of the media that she worked for the nonprofit side. Okay, well, the nonprofit side took Lewiston shooting funds. So do you want me to focus in on that? Because, I could focus in on that, and you should have taken Lewiston shooting funds on the nonprofit side. But as soon as I hit her with, James Comer on the House Congressional Oversight Committee has requested, information about you, she immediately shut up because she knew I had her. She knew I had her. She doesn't want to say anything. And, the most fascinating thing about me is like a lot of people saw me go into the elevator with her. And a lot of people then came up to me afterwards. And most of them were, people of elected officials. Did you get her? Did you get her? Did you get her? And it's like, guys, President Trump has declared, war on fraud in Maine. She's in front of the House Congressional Committee. We at the Maine Wire, we as all of us, have exposed massive amounts of fraud in Maine. And I'm proud of all the work that we've done as a team here, but time for other people to step up and start holding people accountable. Like, if I was a state rep in Maine, and I never will be because I won't run for office, I would call her out in the House chambers and go, what's going on? I would ask the same questions that I asked today in the elevator with her, with what's going on. I mean, it is just mind boggling that everybody's just kind of waiting back and waiting for the feds to come in here, and the feds are coming, but we've got to get going on this. We got a huge problem. Yeah. And she just sits there and hopes the clock ticks, and says, oh, I'm out of office and nobody can hold me accountable anymore. It's just bizarre to me.
And it's also, Graham, it seems to me that it's unwise politically. As John's saying, nobody's calling her out. Nobody's putting some distance between themselves and her or this scandal. And you'd think that you'd start to do that. You'd start to say, okay, the hammer's falling now. Let's be prepared, guys. Let's get some talking points going. Let's stake out a position. You think you'd do something, Graham, but it is business as usual.
She's pulling the Tim Walz move where she is not running for re-election and hoping this is going to quietly move to the side. And all the other Democrats are going to be like, oh, well, you had a great career, Deqa. We're really appreciative of everything you're doing. What we're watching right now, what we just watched in that video, is a politician who's been coddled and protected her entire career strictly because of her identity. Now, she's going to play the racism card. She's going to play the victim card. She's only here because of her identity. She is only here because she's a Somalian and because that's some type of protected class that is like a get out of jail free card for any type of criticism. That reaction was someone that's never been confronted before and has no idea how to handle any type of hostile confrontation, because no other media other than the great John Featherston, the indispensable John Featherston, has been willing to ask her any of these tough questions. She's obviously lying in that segment when she says, I'm just on the nonprofit side. I mean, like, that's true that she was on the nonprofit side, but to act like she had no idea what was going on is just an egregious lie. You don't go on a junket to Turkey and Azerbaijan with the president of Gateway Community Services without knowing what's going on. You don't actively campaign for his election in Jubaland, Somalia, without having any idea what's going on. You don't work with Senator Jill Duson, whose son currently runs Gateway Community Services, without having any idea what's going on. She obviously knew what was going on, and it's just a completely fake, nonsensical cover-up that they're using right now to try to justify her actions until she could get out of that elevator and hit second gear, as someone in the comments said, and just speed out of there.
I also think that her saying that I work on the nonprofit on the other side is just an acknowledgement that, oh yeah, the other side, you're thinking of the corrupt side. No, I'm part of the
right.
Not corrupt. It's not even a good defense of the company. It's not even a good, like, workshopped 2 sentences to, we're happy there's an investigation happening. We want to make sure the public is served. There's nothing like just BS me. Show me that you care enough to come up with the legal department's very generic line, but no, she could care less, which is why, Garrick, you noticed that she was wearing an interesting piece of flair on her purse.
Yes, and I noticed that there was no symbols of Maine pride or American pride, but there was African pride, clearly, which seems like it demonstrates where her loyalty is, which she actually has openly and publicly professed on stage in front of entire groups of people. When she says that we want to do everything we can to help Somalia. And she was saying this like as a state rep. And so it's like, okay, where are your loyalties, Deqa? Is it the Maine people? Are you really serving the Maine people, or are you serving the interests of a people of a foreign nation.
Well,
it doesn't seem to be Maine people's.
And the thing that makes it odd is, like Garrick, if I was redirecting money to my own establishment on the steering committee, or if I was part of that, or if I was somebody running a scam, when a reporter came in and saw me lounging around, I would pop up. I would pop like I'm just doing I'm doing health autistic services here. What's going on? But there's nothing like there. None of these people, their pulse doesn't race when you catch them. Like John had those guys yesterday at the health services at Legit Home Care. Oh no, it wasn't legit. It was one of the 2 days ago when you walked in and the dude just say, "What's going on?" And you're like, "You guys up to anything?" And they're like, "No, we're not operational right now." The guy couldn't even be bothered to get up. John, these people are just not panicked by authority or scrutiny.
No, I think Graham put it, they've been protected for so long. They've never had anybody question them. They've never had any accountability come down on them. Janet Mills has bullied everybody to say, hey, don't come down on them. And we're running out of time. I think we put up a post a couple days ago. Like we're less than 250 days to the midterms. We've got to expose this fraud. We've got to hold these people accountable for this fraud. Because, as Graham was mentioning, Tim Walz, can you imagine if Tim Walz had become vice president of the United States? We'd never know about this fraud. We would never know about this fraud. And we know about this fraud now. And it's great that Dr. Oz put, Mills back on blast, and we have less than 7 days now before, he brings down the hammer on her on this. But we got to get going. And, and this should be a nonpartisan issue. This shouldn't be Republican and Democrat. This is fraud in your state. And if you're funding fraud and condoning fraud, you're not giving services to, there are outfits, Democrats, we're here to help people. We want to do things. Well, if you don't have the money to help people because there's rampant fraud, then you can't do your job properly. And, Republicans, hey, fraud is wrong. Okay, well, when do the hearings start? When do the indictments start? Let's go. Like, we have a huge fraud problem. And she is just waiting, as Graham said, for the clock to run out, and she's no longer in office. And I'm sure she'll go back to another country or something. But I'm not an expert about women's purses, but that looks like a very expensive purse to me. Like a very expensive. If there's somebody in the comments that can, confirm or deny that, but
and the reason why that's important, John, though, is you said that she lives in public housing, right?
She wants to paint this mantra that, hey, I'm a public servant and I'm being picked on because I'm a Somali. No, you're being picked on because you're a part of, fraud in the state. You live in public housing, but you've got this expense. She's got a really nice car. She's got a really nice purse, a nicer car than I have. And, I don't have any purses, but I mean, it looks like a very expensive purse that my wife would like or something like that. And, you just rub your hypocrisy in the taxpayer's face. And it's like, let's go. Like, this is easy. This is what they call low hanging fruit. She's easy because, her dedication is not to Maine. It's not to the United States. It's to Somalia. It's to Africa. She said that multiple times. Like,
she's not even hiding it.
You don't hide it. You don't care. Well, then you know what? Then we're going to hold you accountable then because you don't care.
So, John, did you have later in the evening any interesting interactions in the House chamber? I assume there was plenty of action going on there and plenty of people there to be able to speak to.
Well, the House was doing their business again, and I had I didn't get inside the doors. I waited outside the doors for Deqa, and it's an ongoing issue, as I will call it. But we'll address that at a later date.
Okay, we're not doing that now. Okay, I get it. All right, let's move over to Graham Platner. Graham Platner has he was at an event, I think this was yesterday, and he is railing now against the bombing in Iran. He was with I forgot the other guy he was with, actually. I have it somewhere here. But he was railing about the bombing in Iran. And when something, look at this tweet up here. It says, the top, it says, Senator Collins, you voted to send me to Iraq. And now let's play this this message if we can.
Last week, Senator Susan Collins said that the Trump administration should attack Iran only as a last resort. Well, we know that that's not what has happened, because Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated publicly that the reason we did this is that we knew the Israelis were going to attack Iran, and if they did that, Iran would respond, and therefore we have to attack Iran first, which is quite possibly the most ridiculous excuse for starting a war. This whole thing is insane, and it's getting worse. You know, Iranian missiles are getting through defenses. We are now telling American citizens to leave the region entirely. This thing is spiraling out of control. Susan Collins has the power to stop this.
She doesn't, first of all.
I'm just going to ask you straight up. You voted to send me to Iraq. Did you not learn anything from that experience? You need to stand up. The American people do not want this war. The American people do not support a war that is going to get young American men and women killed, that is going to kill an immense amount of Iranian civilians, all on behalf of the Israeli government and the Saudi government, and, let's be honest, because Donald Trump wants a distraction from the fact that he's in the Epstein files.
Stupidest take of all time.
It's absurd. It needs to end now.
So I want to bring up another part of this. And this is something that he does repeatedly. And he repeatedly says, you sent me to Iraq. And, you know, Ted Cruz hasn't spent a day serving his country like I did. He was comfortably in Texas while I was in Iraq. I was sent to Iraq. And he talks all the time about how terrible it was and how it was a foreign war. And that's why he got the Nazi tattoos, because he and his boys were so stressed out. The Iraq war had been going on for 2 years when this guy enlisted into the Marine Corps during 2 global wars that we were fighting at the time, Afghanistan and Iraq. And he acts like he got drafted into Iraq. It's like, it was really easy. Even I was there in 2000, not in Iraq, but I was around in 2003. And it was really easy to not be in Iraq. All you had to do was not enlist in the Marines. That was the number one thing to do if you wanted to stay away. But he's acting like it's a surprise. Like, yeah, you were sent to Iraq because that's where the war was, and you were a Marine. Like, what the freak
you signed up for?
And you signed up for it, right? Yep.
Exactly.
It actually reminds me of like those college lefties who, you know, they deliberately sign their name to take out a loan to attend and enroll in a college. And then as soon as they get to the college, just spend all their time protesting the college and the college policies. They're like, dude, you signed up for this. And now you're just spending all your time complaining about the policies of the college or whatever.
And he re-enlisted Tom too. He went back on his own choosing. So to sit there and blame this on Collins, it's hypocritical. It's a lie. It's just,
you know what it is? It's belittling to the service of veterans. There's a lot of guys who went over there who didn't have a great time, who didn't come back and said, "You sent me there." It's like, shut up! You sent me there. I had an uncle who went into Vietnam because he enlisted in the Marines in 1966, and they sent him over there, and he got shot up immediately and got sent back here and was banged up. And he never said to us, "Can't believe freaking Lyndon Johnson sent me to Vietnam." Yeah, because everybody was getting sent to Vietnam in 1967. That's what was going on. That's where the war was, the hot wars. And this, I just think it's so small because I also don't love him just mentioning his service every single time. I have nothing but respect for these troops. I think they're all heroes. I think these guys did heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. But like this thing, and I feel like it started with John Kerry of saying, "I served my country once, I'll do it again." It's better when somebody else does it. Like, don't be the one who always talks about, who always like wears it immediately. "I'll serve my country, so I know." It's like, God, man, it's such a hardo thing to do, and I just think I feel, Graham, that it's a little small for a Marine.
I agree 1,000% with this, and I take issue even more, like, just the logical fallacies in that statement that, like, what he thinks Susan Collins is going to jump in the war room and give a stand-down order. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, Susan Collins is a powerful senator, one of the more powerful people in the government. There is absolutely nothing that Susan Collins could do to stop the war. And whether you think it was a good thing that happened or a bad thing that happened, to cut off right now, I think most people could agree would be pretty catastrophic, at least on a strategic level. Like, why would you go half? Why would you end this war today? You know what I'm saying? Without if we're 80% there, 40% there, or whatever, why cut it off now? It just doesn't make any sense from a strategic level. And I'm so just beyond tired of the Epstein files being this brain rot excuse that these liberal commentators drop for any single conceivable issue. Really we posted a story on the Main Wire Facebook about how one of the battleships, one of the destroyers being used in the operation was built in Bath Iron Works. We really didn't even comment on the war. We just said, hey, this destroyer is being used in the operation. Half the comments were these just moron, brain-dead liberals being like, oh, you mean Operation Distract from the Epstein files? As if that had anything to do with this whole situation. It's just so tedious. And none of these people were talking about it when Biden was president. None of these people even knew about the Epstein files when Biden was president. And now there's a whiff that it might make Trump look bad. And now it's just they've just been rattling it off with no logical reasoning or critical thinking behind it for like 8 months now.
But, you know, Tom, he said in his comments that this war is spiraling out of control. This might be the best executed war in the history of wars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's total domination by America and by Israel. It's total domination. You know, and I hate to, you know, come back, but Graham Platner, what do you have against supporting Israel? Is your Nazi tattoo showing its ugly face again? Or like, you know, Iran has been very transparent for, I don't know, centuries that they wanted to kill all the Jews, that they wanted to destroy Israel. This is not surprise. And, you know, if he's a World War II buff, like he says, he should probably know that, you know, that Israel has been the target of, you know, of this for hundreds of years, thousands of years, centuries. And so, I mean, it's just, I mean, he was running a really good campaign, but he's had some humongous missteps in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And I hope people are, you know, once again, you know, realizing what he is, because he keeps telling you what he is. He's a paid actor with, you know, bad social media that's going to come back to bite him. So,
well, I mean, he really seems like he's just exploiting a trending news story to elevate himself on social media, essentially, which is what I felt like we were seeing with all of the other Democratic candidates who were, you know, hopping on social media to give their, you know, half-baked take on ICE and the ICE operations, and this is what you should do to be safe and everything like that. Like, really, it seemed like they were just all exploiting a trending news story to elevate themselves.
But you know what this also exposes? True. But you know what this also exposes? Janet Mills could be the worst U.S. Senate candidate in a long, long time. Absolutely. Like, I mean, like, you know, does she agree with what Platner is saying? Does she disagree with Platner saying? I don't know. When she holds her fundraisers and there's 6 geriatric people there and nobody else there, she doesn't seem to even address these issues. She's a horrible campaign. So even though, you know, Platner is proving to be, you know, the problem that he is, I probably still think he gets the Democratic nomination. I mean, what do you guys think?
You know, I think that Mills also had the opportunity. There is a very there is an online cadre of journalists and pundits who have had enough with Platner, who have said, if it walks like a Nazi, talks like a Nazi, Nazi. But I honestly think that since the progressive left has decided they're on Team Hamas, that embracing the defense of Jews is simply not something that Mills would dare use now. I think those days are over.
Yeah, well, Janet Mills should be watching Main Wire TV, because we've been talking about how Platner was smoking her in the primaries for weeks, and it took the UNH poll to wake her up a little bit, and now she's actually firing back at him a little bit. But she's doing it with like press releases and subtle jabs rather than just actually kind of getting dirty. So it's like a half-baked effort, but at least there's something there. But my big takeaway for press release is that, like, what do you get by that? Like, it's 1985 campaigning, which she still hasn't adapted to. Like, Platner's got a good digital team. Mm-hmm. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said it was a lock that Platner would win. I do feel like his campaign is kind of imploding. I feel like the UNH poll woke everybody up in the Schumer establishment, and that they've really started getting the knives out for him again. I would put it as a 55-45 Mills right now is my take.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, Garrett, something you also said earlier was You called them lazy. These tropes that they go to are like lazy, and they are. You know, they're saying with ICE that they're tear gassing kids and murdering Americans in the street. It is. It's nice and simple messaging. It's BS. It's disgusting, but it is lazy too. But Platner's going with the most lazy of them all. I didn't see you put the uniform on when I was over there in Iraq, and he said the same thing about. He said the same thing about Ted Cruz. He said the same thing, I think, about Rubio. He said about anybody. In other words, there's this thing, and I've had people say this to me online as well, like, unless you've served, you're not allowed to have an opinion on U.S. foreign policy. And that is so frigging haggard. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty asinine take. It also reminds me of the feminists who say no uterus, no opinion. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, as if just because you don't have a stake in the game or whatever, or you don't represent this cohort, then you are suspended from being having your own opinion on anything, having your own take on anything. As if like we don't all have brains and like the faculties to be able to observe and make our own opinions on things. But it's so preposterous.
It is, and it's so lazy because you don't have to embody the experience of everything we cover as a news organization. It's just simply dumb. We don't have to send Graham to enlist if we're going to talk about this war. It's just so dumb and lazy. And I really feel that the lack of originality is disrespectful to veterans out there who actually have some pride about how they position their experiences over there and don't simply retail them for political gain.
That's a great
Janet Mills, if she was smart, would get on the phone with Steve Robinson right now and request a Robinson Report interview. That would be the best thing she could do to her campaign. I mean, it could backfire. It wouldn't be a layup interview. I'm not saying that.
No.
But she should take an opportunity right now while Platner is wounded to throw out an olive branch to conservative Mainers and actually pretend like the Main Wire exists and sit down and answer the questions that we have about her and that John has tried to ask the campaign and that Steve has been trying to ask her that they've ignored forever. I think that would go a long way in transparency for the Mills administration and winning over some of the more moderate candidates that might be leaning Platner.
If she was smart, and it's a big if, she would have fun with it too. Because Steve does have a fun side to him. I mean, Steve is, the best investigative reporter, but he has a fun side to him, and he likes to have fun. And it could put her in a better light. And make no mistake about it, Steve's not going to let her off the hook. But if she was smart, she would joke, a little joke and have some fun with him. And two diehard Mainers talking about it. One, it would be great TV, and two, it's a layup. I mean, Platner's imploding in front of you.
Yeah.
Come talk to the Main Wire. We'll probably have to shoot her an email and see if her staff will take a look at it and everything. But I mean, open invitation. Let's go, Janet. Open invitation.
Garrick, there are enough rules in progressivism, in extreme progressivism, that she could seriously just demand that he, in the name of humanity, step down. That, first of all, his embrace of the patriarchy, his obviously embrace of the Third Reich and fascism, and that he needs to put some work in, as the left says. She could use all the vernacular. You got the perfect.
Do better. Do better, Graham.
Yes,
that's that's their favorite go-to.
I hate that we have the same name. It's very PTSD triggering.
Yeah. But actually, going back to what Graham said about his viability to beat Janet Mills, like I actually, like, just a couple weeks ago, I said the same thing where I'm like, wow, I actually think if I was to call it, like if I was forced to call it, I would probably say that he beats Janet Mills, but then loses to Collins. And it's funny because I have an older friend. He's in his 60s, and he's kind of an interesting gauge for me because he's a Democrat. He's super, coastal liberal type, and very good friend of mine. And so he's kind of a barometer for me. And he actually said that he can't support Mills, who I'm sure he voted for twice. And he's more likely to support Graham Platner. And he said it comes down to age. I don't know if that's all it is, but but it's weird because he voted for Biden too. And so, you know what I mean? So it's just funny, but so I don't know if it is more than that, but I'm like, wow, the fact that even he has been sort of captured by Graham Platner, I thought was interesting. So I'm like, even though this is one anecdotal example, like, is this also emblematic of what might be happening statewide? You know what I mean? Because I figured that older demographics would actually not support Platner, but except for unless you live in like York or Cumberland counties. But now I'm like, oh, maybe there actually is a chance, especially seeing all these rallies like that he's at, and it's like there's a very heavy or significant presence of older types, like
yes,
60s, 70s, 80s.
His TV ad is very good. I will give him credit for that. His TV ad is very good, but it's his initial TV ad. So what's the second one going to look like? And he plays, and he's spending tremendous amount of money because he's on every morning news station. And I'm the only demographic here that probably watches morning news. I do a lot of stuff early in the morning, and I watch, and he's spending a lot of money. So that's why people like him, because his ad doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you that he loves his wife, he loves his family, he loves his mother. He's an oyster farmer. There's nothing not to like about a guy like that. He's playing with his family, he's hugging his wife, he's hugging his mother. That's a great ad. But there's nothing there. And even Mayor Dion said it. Okay, tell me, now the ad's over, now tell me what you got. And he doesn't have anything.
I went to college in North Carolina. There's a guy that ran for governor in North Carolina, Mark Robinson, who had a kind of similar Nazi scandal, a little bit different, but he commented on a porn website that he commented, "I'm a black Nazi" on a porn website. Not great. And that comment was on about every other commercial for about 6 months leading up to the election of that debate. So there's an opportunity there for Mills to really hammer these home if she wants to. And she's got plenty of money to start ramping up TV ads too.
She has plenty of money, and she has plenty of fodder too, because not only does Graham Platner have a Nazi tattoo, but given his very colorful internet history on internet forums, there's plenty to work with there to be able to demonize him adequately. And it's funny. So going back to what he was saying about Iran on social media, with someone like him, like, I genuinely don't know if he really stands for anything, or if he's just kind of parroting things, or just kind of, you know what I mean? Just like vacuously, just saying whatever he thinks will appeal to his audience. He's one of those people, like, I genuinely don't know if he has any sincere convictions, or if he's in a situation like this, especially just exploiting it for gain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the oyster AOC. It's oligarchs and billionaires are running this country, and that doesn't get much deeper than that. And John, like you were saying,
right?
I can't find a lot on this guy on the internet. If he has older social media from before he was running for stuff, I can't find it.
It's deleted.
It's all been scrubbed.
It's all been scrubbed. Yeah.
It's all been memory hold. Stalin-esque.
But his words, black people don't tip. Not my words. His words, black people don't tip. They're cheap.
John, he was asking why they don't.
Okay.
Remember that's how he put it. He was asking help. Why don't these people tip?
So I mean, it's all been scrubbed, and he is what he is, and we all know what he is. So I mean. Well, it's a fascinating time in American politics. Like, he could actually be a candidate.
So, like you said, like you've all been saying, like the thing about black people don't tip. Also, he victim blamed when it comes to rape. It's like, just don't get drunk if you don't want to have sex. Well, like, so where are the hits going to come? Who's going to nuke this guy from the air? Is it going to be a pack somewhere, Graham, or is Mills going to actually do something?
Yeah, it'll be there's 10 million of these random packs that have like 4 YouTube subscribers that can somehow run a $2 million negative ad buy against Susan Collins. I don't even remember the names, but they're just like vague AI names, like go in the right direction, or, stuff like that. Unrig the economy. And they all magically run $2 million ad buys against Susan Collins. So that's what the attack would be. It would be to shield, and someone on the right could do that as well, but it would be to shield Mills from it directly. It would be one of those random super PACs that somehow magically has money, and that's going to be who runs it.
So is that all? You said that like that all he is, John, is a few buzzwords essentially. But as Garrick was saying, if there are some younger voters who want younger people, and I can see that because there's nothing more horrifying than having 85-year-olds on a Senate committee trying to talk AI, or even more horrific, quoting Taylor Swift lyrics. So like, it would be good to get somebody younger there. So maybe that's what the young people want. He's an outsider, so he's new. He's not he's not responsible for any of this. And he's young. Is that all he has to be, John? And then just play a prevent defense.
He is right from Central Casting. He's the perfect character. I will give you that. He's the perfect character. And what is stunning to me is Mills. I'm not being disrespectful. She's an old lady, but she presents horribly. Like, comb your hair, put on some clothes that fit. Try to show you have some energy. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, when she's in her, when she's in these campaign ads, or she's, puts her stuff on social media, comb your hair, try to look professional. I know she wants to be the rugged Mainer in her flannel shirt. I stood up to Donald Trump. Well, no, actually you didn't. And Donald Trump's going to come and, expose all of your fraud, but, tuck in your shirt, maybe iron it, comb your hair, and, look like we sit here and beat up Platner. Like, what else you got? What else does Mills have other than looking frumpy and say, I stood up to Trump? I haven't seen anything other than those two things.
Nothing. And one other thing you need to think about with the Mills campaign is the pitfall, the spike trap of these fraud investigations that are going to come to bear. I don't know if we really talked about it in that detail, but the fact that she requested to delay the Dr. Oz fraud investigation and then was rejected. You don't request a delay if you're innocent. You don't request a delay if you have everything in order. She knows that there's a huge issue here, and I'd imagine her administration is panicking right now and also they're just filled with inept people that are not particularly competent. I think they're scrambling and trying to find a way to avoid the majority of this fraud. And the spoiler alert, they're not going to be able to. That is going to loom large in the coming primary election. I'll be very interested to see what Dr. Oz digs up. But irrespective of what Dr. Oz digs up, there's more fraud coming that we're reporting on. Yeah. And that is not going to look good on the Mills administration. So in addition to everything you said, John, she's got that proverbial noose hanging over her head as well with all this campaigning.
I love that too. Can we just delay till November 4th, and then I'll be forthcoming with it?
I promise. I promise. Yeah.
Remember, Graham, that the goal is to avoid a congressional subpoena. So we know that.
Maine gets national news a lot. It is so corrupt that it should get national news more. It is simply preposterous.
I remember. Well, I remember texting Steve last year when I saw something come up on Matt Walsh's podcast about Maine, and I think that was when there was like a drag queen doing the weather during Pride Month, and Matt Walsh covered it, and I just remember saying to him, like, dude, why does it seem like Maine is only ever in the news for all the worst reasons? And often, like for the last 2 years, I swear, it's like Maine is always in the news. It's like in Harry Potter when Professor McGonagall's like, why is it always you three? To Harry and Hermione and Ron, and it's like, why? It seems like it's always Maine now. Like there's always some kind of embarrassing, just totally humiliating thing that's happening here in Maine that drags us into the national headlines for reasons that make it like truly embarrassing to be a Mainer. You know what I mean?
The video we posted yesterday is another example of that, where Rep. Mike Sobolewski, all he wanted to do was read a proclamation honoring the family of victims who were killed by illegal immigrants. And he didn't get 3 sentences into that before some of these Democrats stood up and were like, roll call, or whatever they said. Like, they just shouted him out. And like, you can't have the political aptitude to realize you got to shut up in that situation and let them just read the proclamation honoring these families. They're living in an insane bubble, and they have no understanding about how offensive they are. It's crazy to watch.
Yeah, no, last year at this time, I had a talk show in Connecticut, and I would have Steve on pretty much every week or so, just because that's where all the action was. That all the insane stuff that was coming down the river towards us in Connecticut was happening right then in Maine. It's kind of like in the 90s, cameras used to follow Dennis Rodman around because he was going to get arrested at some point during the night. It just mattered what time,
Right.
what. Hey, let me ask you guys a question. Did you anybody see Hillary Clinton in front of the Epstein committee?
Oh,
a little bit
yes.
of it, yeah, a little bit.
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
So right there, John, maybe that's the example of why she should go in that Janet Mills should go in front of Steve Robinson, because
100%.
Yeah, Steve would be tough. There's no doubt with her about that. But maybe if she's still got some chops, if she ever had chops, I don't know. But if Janet Mills has chops, then that looks good when you're there taking the heat and giving it back. Because I've got to say, I've not been a Hillary Clinton fan now for almost 40 years. She looked great, I thought, versus the young Republican interrogators in that hearing, because she's smart. She's never been stupid. She knows she's a lawyer. She knows how to bob and weave. She knew when to smile. And I was like, I almost missed her. I almost thought, I missed this caliber of politician who could operate like this. I mean, obviously, yeah, sure, she's killed 6 dozen people and allegedly, and they're very dark people. But I mean, could Mills do that? Does she have like an old school knockout punch? No.
No, I mean, like you said, you can dislike Hillary Clinton, and I might be in the front of the line of people who do, but you can never dispute the fact that she was very smart. She's very calculated. Janet Mills is not. Janet Mills is a junkyard dog bully. And Hillary Clinton is too, a little bit, but that's all Janet Mills is a bully. And she's not going to be able to bully, a Steve Robinson.
She stands up to bullies, John. She's a brave woman. She stands up to bullies.
Really? I don't know. When people steal money from me, then you should go get them. Then that's bullying. So
also, I think it's so funny that she says she stands up to bullies, because she she told Trump "see you in court" when she was standing up to defend, not to defend the law, but to defend males in female spaces in sports. It's like, congratulations, like that's your badge of honor. That's what you're going to toot your own horn for, is defending men and women's sports. And you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty embarrassing.
It's all she's got. Yeah, it's all she's got.
She doesn't have the chops, to answer your question, Tom. She has never had critical press in her life. Hillary was running for president. You're going to get critical questions, and she had some calluses from that. Janet Mills has never really had that, especially the last 6 years. She's had fawning press licking her toes all day. So she's never had to deal with any type of criticism. I think she could try. I think she should try, but she would not hold a candle to Hillary Clinton's performance yesterday.
Well, then forget my idea. It's not going to work. Dateline Portland, Maine. After months of political delay, public paranoia, and repeated second guessing, the Portland City Council on Monday finally approved the Portland Police Department's request to acquire its first drone, ending a debate that should have been settled long ago. The department plans to purchase the drone from Axon so it can work with its existing body and cruiser camera systems. The council rejected the proposal in November 2025, 4-3, despite police arguing the drone would be used for basic public safety functions, such as search and rescue, accident reconstruction, and responses involving barricaded suspects. Instead of approving a limited-use tool for emergency response, councilors let surveillance fears dominate the discussion and set the issue into political limbo. But now it appears, John, that we are greenlighting these drones. And I would like to know, one, how you think that the good progressives of Portland are going to feel about this thing hovering above them. And two, do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's a very good idea. I thought it was a good idea months ago, and that it should have never taken this long for the city council to approve this thing. But I think a lot of people that I saw last night at the meeting, and it was a mind-boggling amount of people wearing masks at the Portland City Council meeting last night. Mind-boggling amount. It's 2026, people. The COVID's over. Like, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. But, Big Brother is watching, and the council's worried that, the Portland police are going to use these drones, to work with ICE. and and that they're going to worry that at Christmas or holiday celebrations, people are going to be flying a drone over and looking for us. This is just simple, 2026 policing. You've got a missing kid, put the drone up, find the missing kid. You've got a tense situation in a large populated area. Put the drone up and see. This is a set of eyes, above the city. This is nothing nefarious that the Portland Police Department. Here's the bottom line, and I'll say it because I've covered the Portland City Council. The Portland City Council as a whole is not supportive of the Portland police. You have a couple Democratic, self-described Democratic socialists who actively work against the police. And like this was a simple proposal. Yeah, it's an expensive proposal. Yeah, it's $45,000. But in the scheme of things, if you could save one life with a $45,000 investment, don't you make that investment every single time? And the fact that this took as long as it did, because this is more of like, we don't trust the police. We have to have a subcommittee to meet with the police, and the police have to convince us that they're not going to use this in nefarious ways. It's like, guys, this is public safety we're talking about. That's the bigger problem. It's not the drone, it's the council that's the problem.
But that term public safety, John, makes me a little nervous thinking about COVID. If Nirav Shah had one of these at his disposal in 2021, would he not have used it to look for compliance, Graham, at playgrounds?
I generally support the drone. I think, like what John said, it is just common sense policing. I bought a drone 6 years ago for $800 that works perfectly well. I'm not exactly sure why they need a drone that's $45,000. That seems kind of like a textbook government overspending, if I'm being totally honest. However, it's insane that they wouldn't have a drone. That's just like they've had helicopters for years. A drone is just accomplishing the same thing in a way cheaper, more efficient manner. So, like, get with the times. They should have 30 drones, in my opinion. I would have no problem with that.
Garrick, thought about the police state watching you?
Well, I will say that, like, when I first kind of saw the story, or at least the headline, like whenever I think of surveillance or see surveillance, hear about surveillance, I am immediately concerned, only because privacy is something that is very important to me, and sometimes it seems like that is an issue that Republicans don't really seem to care about very often, because they are willing to create a surveillance state out of quote unquote security, but they're willing to stamp on people's liberties to do so. Right. And we saw that recently with the passage in the Transportation Committee last week of a bill that will basically enable the Maine Turnpike Authority to place cameras in highway construction zones. Granted, I guess there's all these caveats and limits and everything like that, but I know it sounds like a slippery slope argument, but I just generally don't even like giving that precedence any sort of leeway. And so I'm very concerned and hesitant, because that's where it starts. It starts with just that one thing that they seem like they have a plausible reason to, instill or impose the surveillance. But then over time, it's like, because they've created a precedence now, it just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. And that's what is my chief concern with something like this, with the usage of the police, of the surveillance drone. Like John said, maybe that is just 2026 policing, and it can be used for perfectly legitimate public safety reasons. And so I'm sure there are a myriad of scenarios where it could be very useful to have. And so it's like, I would want to trust the police to use it properly like that. But, do I still internally feel a semblance of concern because it could expand to greater surveillance down the road? Yes, I am concerned about that generally. So,
well, have you guys seen all the video of the closed caption video that the Israelis had on the Iranians, at their battle stations when they'd all exploded? It's like, I don't love the idea.
Oh, yes.
Especially using AI. I don't like the idea of suddenly everybody's able to be watched. I used to work with a woman who taped her camera on her laptop, who was sure that, it could watch her. It kind of can watch you. Now we're getting to the point where, Yeah, we're stuck.
Yeah, no, the federal government's watching you. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. I don't think the Portland Police Department has that capabilities. I think a drone is just a no-brainer, personally.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but anywhere you go right now, you're at a stoplight, you're being watched. You walk into a Target or a Walmart, you're being watched. You walk into a CVS, you're being watched. Your phone listens to what you say. Your computer, tracks you. I mean, like, yes, we all think we live in a free country, but if you're naive to think that you're not being filmed, and one of the hilarious things that I've see, working for the Main Wire, well, don't record me. But you're recording me. What are you doing? You've got 40 cameras inside your store shop and you're saying don't record me, but you're recording me. So where is the line? You can record me, but I can't record you, or you're offended because I'm recording you. A lot of times I'm just recording for my own personal safety because, I'm walking into a situation and where, but I mean, if you haven't figured it out, everybody, you're being filmed, you're being watched no matter what, and it's nonpartisan, the stoplights, grocery stores, convenience stores, everybody's recording you. Your phone listens to everything you say, your phone knows more about you than your spouse does, I mean, it's crazy.
I will say that I do think that cameras should be out of congressional hearing rooms. You can have the audio, maybe that's fine, but we've made a-holes out of everybody grandstanding for their Instagram clout now. But what's funny, Garrick, is the hard left demanded police body cams 10 years ago, demanding you need to have it, after George, not George Floyd, but Michael Brown. You need to have body cams. They did it in Boston. They've done it in all sorts of big cities. Now the hard progressive left is now wanting them to go away because they're racist. This is actually a thing that's happening in cities, is that these activist groups are saying that these body cams are no good because they're disproportionately catching people of color doing crimes now. So
it's inconvenient for them now because it's actually revealing something that that they find inconvenient. Yeah,
it's not revealing the police brutality they were hoping it would, but it is revealing a hell of a lot of crime going on, and so that's
what I mean. And it's very inconvenient for the narrative, about police brutality, crime, etc.
That's right, because Graham, the camera doesn't know it's not supposed to notice.
Yeah, exactly. One of the great backfires in political history, the cam. And they were asking for body cams on ICE agents. I say, why not give the ICE agents body cams too?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that would be a great idea. I'm surprised they don't already have them. Lezo says, the kid down the street has a drone, but the police can't have one? Write in regs to avoid misuse of them. I think probably the cops probably have to go to the letter of the law and regulations and get one of the drones that is FAA licensed. It's probably a big bureaucratic layer of crap. We had one in a newspaper I worked for about 10 years ago. In one, we had two. One went into the Merrimack River, and then one was much of a pain. You had to have a license to use it because of because of the FAA, and so we just kept the thing in a closet. But you would think that now, I mean, the drone revolution, like the AI revolution, is here. And these things are going to be everywhere very soon. Your pizza is coming through the air in the next couple of years. And so, we should just, I think we should, at this point, we should just embrace it. What was impossible is now just happening, especially with AI stuff. And I mean, God, we should spend a whole show just talking about the AI and what will be different between this year and next year. But the drones are a no-brainer part of this stuff. I think we can all agree.
I agree. Yep.
Actually, I agree.
Do we not have one, Graham, other than yours?
We do have one, and we have a bunch of guys that'll do drone work for us. But we should use it more.
I literally just bought a drone 2 weeks ago for basically my first time. So it's funny that you say that, for photography purposes.
They're extremely easy to use. The only problem is DJI has the best drones, and I think we just banned DJI in this country because they're just straight up spying on us for China.
That's what I heard.
Honestly, a huge bummer.
I have I have a friend who's a videographer, and I asked her like what the best brands would be, or like what suggestions she might have for one, and she's like, definitely get a DJI, but buy it quick because you might not be able to pretty soon here. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I mean, shoot, okay.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, unfortunately, they are. My son got one of the Chinese ones, but they're going away. In other words, that's our next war, which we'll be talking about very, very shortly.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's remind everybody about our event again. It is a clash in the Queen City. It's our debate. It is happening in Bangor, Maine at the Cross Insurance Center. That's March 24th at 7 p.m. We really don't have much information other than that right now, but we will about availability for tickets to attend and what the show lineup is going to be and who's going to be there exactly. I can tell you that everybody who you see now and the Steve Robinson will be there, at least.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great event. I think it will really be the most important event on the calendar for the Republican primary. I think it'll go a long way in deciding who the candidate is. I think it might be the most watched political debate in a Republican primary debate in Maine history. At least I hope it will be. So I think it's going to be great. There's tickets are on sale now, $10 each. So check it out, mainwiremerch.com, and just scroll down, and you'll be able to see it as a featured product right under the home screen.
Will that little trolley guy who moderated the debates, the one last week, will he be there?
Andy O'Brien will not be there. We might have like honestly, if he wants to do it, we can have like an Andy O'Brien dunk tank. And anytime, I don't know, maybe we can come. That's not a bad idea. My brain is now. I'll pay him to be a part of a dunk tank, and we can figure something out.
Here we go. Okay.
We welcome everybody to come, even the crazy. Yes. Yeah.
I did find out that so we're waiting on confirmation on all of them total, but I have been told that nearly all of them who are qualified for the ballot are confirmed. So
gubernatorial candidates. Yeah. All of them.
The Republicans, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be all of the big names that you think about. It's going to be, I think, somewhere between 6 to 8 candidates, if I had to guess. But none of to my knowledge, none of the big candidates are going to be skipping, and none of the big candidates should skip this because they're going to be missing out on the biggest event of the calendar if they do.
You know, I spent most of the afternoon in the Secretary of State's office, and it's a daunting process for the Secretary of State staff to validate all of these signatures. And what's the date today? The 3rd. So I think there's 13 more days, and you take out the weekends. If the candidates, you probably need to get their signatures on to get onto the ballot, because it probably took the David Jones campaign. It took them well over 3 hours for them to go through the signatures and validate them, and it's a daunting process. And the clock is ticking, so that'll declare who's actually on the ballot for our debate, which will be really good to see. So, but time's running out.
It'll be a fun night. Just quickly on the message board, a lot of people agree John is right about Mills' appearance. So Featherston, there you go. There's lots of reinforcement there.
Don't shoot the messenger. Yeah.
Do you guys ever see the comments? People are always posting photos of Austin Powers, and like anything that's about any story about Mills, they're always posting photos of Austin Powers because they think that she looks like him. I'm like, it's mean, but it is pretty funny. Sorry, keep going.
Travis says, talking about Platner, this is a great point, actually. I wish I'd thought of it. Damn it, I wish I'd thought of it. You know what? I thought of this. Platner talked about his friends getting blown up in Iran, made most of the IEDs. Iran made most of the IEDs that killed Marines, so he shouldn't be happy. So, it's a great point that I thought of, Travis. Thank you. All right. For John Featherston, for Garrick Hoffman, and Graham Pollard, I am Tom Shattuck. We will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.